name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is another trying to fix video. And in this video we're going to be trying to fix this vintage pedometer. So this is a mechanical step counter. How nice is that? As soon as I seen the picture of that on eBay, I had to have it. So this is what I paid for it. It was up I think for £5, but I put an offer in at £3.30 and it was accepted. So £3.30 plus £2.70 postage, so I paid £6 UK in total. There's no information on it at all. It just says vintage pedometer not working, maybe an easy fix. Now I don't actually think this is as old as what it kind of looks like. I think these might be just from the 1980s, but there isn't a huge amount of information on it. And there's a few of them for sale on eBay, and others do come with instructions, but remember I want a faulty one for the video, so I don't actually know how it works, but there is this scale at the back here. Now when I've typed in vintage pedometer and stuff on YouTube, nothing's coming up, but there is people showing how to count your steps. And basically you put a mark in front of, for example, your right foot, you do 10 steps, and then you put another mark in front of your right foot, you measure the distance between them, you divide it by 10, and I think it's in inches as well. So I'm thinking this here is, for example, if you had a small step you would put it all the way to 18, and if you had a very large step you would put it all the way to 36. So 24 is going to be what, 2 foot, isn't it? So and that's going to be 3 foot all the way down here. So what I'll have to do is, if I can get this working, I'll have to measure out my garden 10 paces and then put this to where it is. So I presume this must just limit the travel on the inside, so then it makes it more accurate, because this counts in miles and kilometers as well. So yeah, that must be it, mustn't it? So if you've got very small steps, you might have to do, for example, like 2 of them per metre. Well, if you've got very big steps, you might only have to do 1 and, well, just 1 per metre, or 1 and a tiny bit per metre. So I suppose that's how you change it there to make this more accurate. So what is quite funny about this one is it says Pedometers International England, made in Germany. So it's sort of the brand is English, but then it says they're made in Germany. But I don't mind, because in my opinion pretty much everything that comes out of Germany is top notch. I don't often find things from Germany that are not very good, so I'm hoping this might be an interesting one. So look, when I turn this one here, this is how you kind of reset it. So it takes a bit of time. I thought it might be more like a stopwatch where you press a button and it resets back to 12 up here. So it looks like it can count 12 miles or 19 kilometres. Well, of course, it can do more than that, because you know that if you've been walking for the whole day and it's gone just to 2, you know then it's going to be 12 plus 2, 14 miles. So I suppose as long as you look at it every now and then, you're going to know how much miles or kilometres you have done. So I think it's just going to be like a pendulum type thing that's moving around and that's counting it. So let's take it apart and see what's happening with it. Now in the camera here it looks quite white, but it's not. It's actually an annoying yellow colour. So in the pictures on eBay it looked nice and white, because personally these 3 colours I love. I love the martini colours, you know, like you see a race car with martini on it, the drink. And those 3 colours there I'm a massive fan of. So that's why I love the look of this so much. But with my own eyes it's really yellowed. And I don't think there's anything I can do about that if the yellowing's actually occurred on the painted surface. But if the yellowing has just occurred on this plastic, because this is just, hold on, yeah, that's just an acrylic crystal there. So if the yellowing's on that, I might be able to use some polywash and get that nice and clean. But anyway, let's get it apart. I'm presuming it's just going to need a bit of a clean up. For all I know, it might even be working fine, but I want to see the inside of it anyway. So let's take it apart, give it a bit of a clean, and try to neaten it up a little bit. And then if it does work, I'll measure out my steps, take it for a walk, and let's see, after walking for half an hour or an hour, see if this thing's moved around or not. So it looks like it's got 2 screws at the back here. Annoyingly, the back is just plastic, which doesn't feel very nice at all. But I suppose these were more like a functional thing rather than maybe a watch, which is going to be more decorative as well as obviously functional. So normally I do like mechanical watches. I also like quartz as well. But today I'm wearing a Fitbit. So this is one that can obviously accurately measure the amount of steps you've done. So maybe I can, I don't know, maybe I haven't really done much with this yet. Maybe I can link this up to my phone to test distance and compare it to here. Right, let's get started. So obviously nowadays you would just use an electronic pedometer. But there's something charming about this one here, and I think I would be the sort of person that would just pop this on my belt, clip it onto a pocket or something like that, and I think it'd be nicer. I think it'd be nicer to use, but obviously it's not going to be as accurate. I can see just a tiny little bit of rust on those screws there, just at the very top. Right, okay. Yeah, I think it looks quite dirty. So now that is moving. What's this doing here? How's that working? So that's on there like that. Oh, look, this is the thing that moves up and down. Hold on. That moves up and down, so that must be doing the counting. So how, by moving this along, is that actually making it any different unless it's at an angle? Maybe it's ever so slightly angled. Let's have a look. Right, I'm going to push it all the way to there, gently take it off. So we're there, so it can go that much. Now let's go to the larger one. Hold on. Well, oh, I suppose, oh, what sorry, it is wider there than there, isn't it? It's just as simple as that. So it's only a tiny bit, it's only like probably the difference between there and there might only be like 1.5 millimeters, but there is a difference, and that's what counts. So obviously this just being allowed to move more will, this being allowed to move more will do a, how does that work now? So being allowed to move more, it's registering a larger stride, so it's moving the needle more. So when this moves more, it's moving the needle more. When it moves a tiny bit, it's not moving the needle as much. That's kind of interesting. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work on the inside, but hopefully that will become clear. Right, I am, oh, here we go. It's coming apart already. I hope this doesn't spring out at me now. So those screws go all the way through. Oh, look at this now. Look at this. Normally I need a really fine screwdriver when I mess around with watches, but I don't think I'm going to need that here. Let's undo these two. So I suppose this isn't going to have a mainspring or anything, is it? Because it doesn't have to keep power. So like with an automatic or mechanical watch, it needs to wind up the mainspring, but and then release that power slowly. But with this it doesn't, does it? Please don't spring out at me. Right, this is all going to come apart in one go. Also, I was thinking, do you see this thing here? That's that way round, but to me, that's wrong. I think it should be placed that way. So then, for example, you can put it on your shirt pocket and have it show into the world, or in your pocket and still being able to view it. When it's this way round, I was thinking that it looks the wrong way, because then it's clipping on and this is hidden. So I'm going to be putting that in the other way. Actually, do you know, before I do that, I'm going to have a look online and see which way they are on other ones being sold on eBay. Yeah, 100% it was put on the wrong way round. So maybe that just suited the previous owner whenever this was being used. Can you see there? The clip is facing backwards the way that I want it, and also here the clip is facing backwards. That's also got a slightly different design as well. So yeah, okay, that's good. Now, let's see what's happening here. Right, I don't want it just to all fling out and go crazy at me. So it looks like it's going to be nice and easy to clean. I think I'm feeling pretty confident at the moment, because this doesn't look as hard to work on as a proper watch, because a watch itself is tiny, the components are tiny. I'm just going to get some tweezers. Do you know what, that came out without me looking at where that went. So this is the thing that moves. Oh, here we go. So this is the thing that moves up and down. So that spring must be just to push it. I'm not sure. I'll have to work that out later. So let's have a look now. When we do that, is it moving round at all? It seems to be sticking a bit. Yeah, that's moving. Look at this gold gear here. So focus, for example, on this one here. Yeah, watch. I know it's hard to see, but look, it's gone round now. See if we can see a bit of dirt. So can you see dirt here? Yeah. So the dirt here is lining up at an angle with this one here. Is it moving around? Yes, it is. See, now it's right above it. There you go. Can you see it's moved from there to here? So it looks like it is going to be working. Let's see if this is going to come off. Right, so that must just sit on there like that. Hope I'm going to be able to get this back together. Let's undo this screw here, which will hopefully then release this spring. And that is just around that little hole there. Okay. So now, is this all gonna... It comes off there. I think this is just going to need a clean. Yeah, look, can you see it just looks a bit like the original oils have gone everywhere. Just looks dirty, doesn't it? Well, it was certainly a lot easier to strip down than a watch. The problem I've got is easy to strip down, but is it easy to put back together? Now, this here, is this just, yeah, so this is just loose now. So, how do I... Can I take this off now, or is that going to be... I'm just going to have a look for my eye loop. I just want to see how that middle bit is attached to this little spindle going through. To me, it looks like... Well, it looks like the central thing is ever slightly rusty, but it does look... I don't know whether that would be kind of glued on, or whether it's just a push fit or not. You know, like a pressure fit. It's hard to tell. But the thing is, you see, look, normally you can release a dial. But I can't release the dial here. This is all one piece here, so it looks like the plastic has been like pushed in, and then it's been put together. The problem I've got is, am I going to be able to, if I was to take this, I don't even know, if this is glued in, I'm not going to be able to get it out. I've got no way of kind of pushing it out, because if I go through one of these holes here, even if they do go through, I'm just going to be pushing on the dial, and I'm going to break that. As well as that, there doesn't actually seem to be any dirt on the dial itself. I think that dirt, look at that, I think it's just all on the plastic. So maybe, given that that is perfectly straight and it is spinning, maybe I should just leave that part of it and not mess with it, because I can see no easy way of getting that plastic out. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's not even a lip here, it goes into it. So I can't see how you would actually push that out. Yeah, a bit of a shame. I wanted to dismantle it completely, but I don't think I've got an option here. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get anything to pry that. Right, that's just going to have to be cleaned, and hopefully when I do that, the yellowing might go away a little bit. Okay, so now, the options. I could put it all in the ultrasonic cleaner, but I don't think there's a need to, because I think it all looks... I think it looks okay. I think I'm just going to clean it with IPA and just make everything nice and clean again. Get rid of all the old oil, and then where I think a little dot of oil is needed, I will put a dot of oil on, and then we'll try and reassemble it. And that should be the fun bit, because luckily I've got the video to look back on. But yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge. Right, so yeah, IPA time. So this is what I'm using. Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to clean this with tissue. I'll tell you why. Because of the tiny little hole here, can you see what's happened on the number 14? The IPA is just, because this could be like paper. This might not even be like a ceramic dial or anything. This might be just a sheet of paper. Yeah, I can see it on the 14, it's spreading. Right, I am going to not clean that part with IPA. I'll clean everything else in IPA, but not this part here, otherwise I'll end up ruining that dial. And the dial is the thing I like about this. I wonder, is that just paper, and is that why it's discoloured? Or thin cardboard or something? Must be, mustn't it? Because how else would that little hole there, with the amount of IPA I've just put in, how would it soak through? For example, if this dial was metal or some sort of like ceramic coating, it wouldn't soak through. I'm betting you that that is paper or cardboard. Right, let's not touch that. But I can clean everything else. Now looking at this part here, that side's straight, but this one's not straight. I'm thinking it should be, and that's probably why it was so stiff to move. Actually, thinking about it, it needs to be stiff. If this just moved freely, then it's going to move the steps. No, I'm going to leave that. I think that's got a bend on it intentionally to make it stiff. That has come up okay. It's not perfect. Some of these things actually look pitted, but I'm wondering if they were just like that from manufacturer. You know, as long as it's working. I've got to think this device is actually quite a crude device compared to, for example, a mechanical or automatic watch. But a little bit of dirt did come out of it, so hopefully that's going to help. So now I have the fun task of trying to put it back together. And I'm not going to go crazy on the oil, because if I put too much oil in, it actually might gum it up. So I'm just going to be doing it. I'm just going to be putting tiny dots of oil, maybe where the gears meet, or possibly where they're on their spindles, you know, where the gears are going around a spindle. So for example on this one here, I can't remember exactly which one goes, but if it's this one here, then I would put a little bit of oil on that spindle, because that's where it's spinning. But I'm not going to go crazy with the oil, because it can actually harm it more. Now luckily it looks like I did get away with that number 14 there. It looks like it's just dried up, so that's good. So let's start to put this back together. Okay, I'm just going to be using some of this Mobius oil. So this is just to kind of, it's not cheap, it's not massively expensive either, but it will just allow me to, it's a kind of oil that will do loads of different things. So if you were like a professional watch repair person, then what you would do is you would have loads of different grades for different things, but for this here, this one should kind of do the majority of things that I need. So all I'm doing is just putting a little bit onto my mat. And then I'm just going to be taking it off there when I need it. So I think that will probably do. And I'm using a large dropper as well. Let's put this spring in. We definitely know how this spring goes. So it goes on this bottom one here, and I presume this side here goes in these kind of things sticking out here. See, there's a little gap in there, so it must go in that part in there. Yeah, so that's placed in there like that. Right, so it's definitely moving around. The thing is, there's no spring to it at all. So what gives this the spring? Is it this one here now? Maybe become clear when I put this on here. So that goes there like that. So maybe that just goes on the edge of it there. Let's see. I'm just going to put it on loosely for the time being, and then it might make more sense. Right, so that's going to go in here and here, so really I'd need to put a little bit of oil on these spindles here now. I'm going to need some more oil, I think. Maybe that does just slot in there to keep that away from there. So, well, let's pop the screws in and see if it's actually going to spring at all. Right, so that spring's in there, and that one is under there. Let's see now, is it going to... Oh, it sort of clicked when I did that. Now, is that moving or not? Well, first of all, let's see if this is going to move around. Okay, that is, but it doesn't feel good. Right, that's gone out there. Let's put that back out under here. Or maybe it goes on top. Maybe that goes on top. I don't know what that's for. And now it allows me to go both ways, so this isn't right. It should only go one way. So, I must have this thing in wrong. Right, I'm going to watch the video back again. I mean, this all feels very loose here. Very, very loose. This is definitely in that orientation there, but it looks to be closer to the actual metal. So let's just slacken that off. Now let's push that right the way in, and let's do it up. Right, okay, now, hold on. It doesn't want to go either way this time. So I think this is what's causing it to slip and not slip. Okay, so when it's there, when it's putting pressure down on that, it doesn't allow that to move at all. So now let's just lift that up to here, and now let's see if it's going to allow it to do it. No. So this thing, how is that even causing it to work and not work? Let's loosen this off completely like that. Right, so now we can move it in both directions. So how does that stop? I wonder, is this moving up and down which allows it to disengage and engage? Is that what's happening? In which case then, how am I going to stop that? Oh, I didn't think this would be so awkward. It's because I don't really understand how this thing here is I don't really understand how that's working. Let's have a look. Oh, it's so obvious when you look through the eye loop. I thought this was smooth. It's not. There's loads of, this is like a file. Basically this is like a, if you can imagine, like a ratchet. So what's happening is this has to rest on here, and then it will allow it to turn this way because of the way this is bent here, but it won't allow it to go back because it's bending it back on itself. Let me zoom right in and it will make more sense. There we go. Can you see now? All these teeth here. Yeah, look at that. You can see perfectly now. So all I have to do is line this up so it's just resting on here, and it won't allow it to go back, but it will allow it to go that way. If I was to use extreme force, I could probably bend this up, but you're not supposed to use extreme force. That's all it is. Really, really straightforward. So what I have to wonder about though is this play. Do you see what I mean? I wonder now when I do this up properly, because there's actually a lot of play in that there, whether that's going to cause problems or not. So now when you're watching this on your big TVs, that might have been really obvious to you, but I couldn't see that at all with my eyes. I couldn't see that whatsoever, even through the viewfinder. I couldn't see that. So that's all I have to do. I just have to push it down to there and do up this top screw nice and tight. Just wondering now, I'm going to take this off quickly, because now we know that that's got little screw bits on, little teeth on it. I wonder what that other thing is doing. Maybe the other thing will become more clear now. Just take this off a minute. Right, what's this one doing? So this is doing something. Oh, hold on now. Hold on. Is this the thing which is moving it around? Wait, 1 second. So this is also acting as a ratchet, isn't it? This one here. So if these were bent, if that was bent at the end, and it does look slightly bent, that wouldn't work properly, would it? Right, so, hold on now. That's moving that. When this is moving up and down, is this actually the one? Let's try to get it in its home. 1 second. Just going to get rid of this, because this thing is purely to stop it going back when you're winding it on. This is the thing that's actually doing the counting. So now let me try to get this centralized. It's not going to be able to focus. Hold on. Okay. Hold on now. This is the thing which is doing the counting. That needs to be more down. Look. That's how it works. Look, like magic fingers on a Seiko thing. Right, okay. I need to make sure that that's fully engaged. Now, is it just not doing it properly now because it's apart? So things are not lined up properly, or is that slightly bent out? Maybe that's the problem why it wasn't counting properly. Because it's missing it. Right, that needs to be bent down, does it not? I think it does. I'll zoom out a bit. So it's this thing which is allowing it to turn round. So I think that needs to be more down. Right, now let's see what it's going to do. Okay, and now pop that up here. There we go. Get that centralized. I think that's going to be the one now. But as long as it doesn't... yeah, it can't... Now it's obvious that you do need this. This stops it going backwards, because otherwise, if you didn't have that, all that would happen is it would just keep going that way, that way, that way. Yeah, see, it's not doing anything now. It's this thing here. These are magic fingers, exactly the same as when you're working on a Seiko, you know, on a self-winder, an automatic. That's what it is. This one stops it from going back, and this pushes it forward. Push forward, stops going back. Push forward, stops going back. Yeah? So watch. Push, and then when this goes down, this one stops it from going backwards. Hope that makes sense. So this one rotates it clockwise. This one stops it going anti-clockwise. So then it's just going to keep... You can even hear it. Listen. Oh, how nice. How nice is that? Yes. Fully understand it. Fully understand it now. Right. I'm confident now that this is going to work. And if it doesn't work, I think I'll be able to get my head around it. Oh, I'm so pleased. So pleased that I did that little there. That it didn't just work when I put it back together, because now I'm confident. It's amazing, once you understand something, it makes it so much easier, doesn't it, to fix. Now let's see if it's going to be turning. Yeah, can you see? Look here. Right, so I am just going to put a tiny little mark on this one here. There, can you see that little mark there now? There, that little mark there. Now watch. Watch. Can you see it's moving along and it's about to disappear? 100% that is working. There you go, you can see the mark here. Look here. So we know when we turn this that moves round, yeah? Now watch. Can you see? There you go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So when you turn this, it goes super quick, because obviously you're winding it on, yeah? But when you're doing it when you're walking, can you see how slow it is? So now, in about another 10 goes, it's going to come around the other side. There it is, you see the scratch there? Oh, beautiful. Oh, I'm well happy with that. Well happy with that. So now what we have to do is let's put the back together. And so these are done up. Put the back together, and then let's get some polywatch on that glass, or the plastic, and let's see if we can clean that up. And also let's put this on the correct way. When I was talking about the magic fingers earlier, what they are they're like a push-pull thing. So, for example, on a mechanical watch, well, not a mechanical watch, on an automatic watch, a wind-up watch. So obviously it works by winding up a mainspring, and then it slowly releases that energy to make the watch tick. But on an automatic watch, you don't have to wind it up, do you? There's a rotor at the back that spins. Now, what it allows it to do is, well, that doesn't really work like magic fingers, but what it allows, magic fingers are really clever, and what they do is, it doesn't matter which way the rotor spins, it still converts it into picking, basically, the thing round, which is the same as you winding it. So in a way, this wasn't really like magic fingers, because it was only allowing it to go one way and not the other way, but it was still picking it, wasn't it? Picking it, and this was stopping it from going round. While on Seiko with the magic fingers, it's amazing. It basically picks, and then this one pushes, picks, pushes, picks, pushes, and then when you go the other way, it still manages to push, pick, push, pick. It's really clever. So although I kept saying it's magic fingers, it's not magic fingers, it's just kind of like magic fingers. Right, okay, so that is now working round like that, doesn't go the other way. Like that. And now let's put it to the, let's see if this is moving. Yeah, so this moves. Yeah, actually that feels, well no, I suppose it's just as stiff as it was before. I suppose it has to be stiff. So now if I was to go crazy for a minute, you can see it's on 12. If I was to do this, which is the same as walking, I'm just going to do this for a minute. And we'll see if it's advanced at all. I think it has, yeah, a tiny bit, not much, but it's not going to do because each of these, let's see these increments here. What have we got? We got, on the miles, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each of them are 1/8 of a mile. Let's see the kilometres. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each of these is 200 metres. So right now we're on 200 metres. Let's go by the kilometres. Let's see if we can get up to 400 metres. I don't know if that's moved at all. Maybe this is not working. Well, I suppose I've got to do it 200 times, haven't I? Realistically, because at 36 inches, that's near enough. That's not far off a metre, is it? Definitely working. There you go. Look, that's it. Can you see? It's gone up to the second, well, nearly the second increment. So that's about like 380 metres. Ah, this is brilliant. Right, let me clean up the top. So I'm going to be using some of this poly watch here. And it's just a case of putting it on, and then I'm going to be cleaning it with a microfiber cloth, just going around in circles. And let's try to get rid of, can you see this? Let's see, there's marks here. Can you see there's marks here? Do you know what? I can see that number 14 now really clearly. That looked like it was cleared earlier. Now it looks like it's back. So it looks like the IPA has damaged that. Luckily I didn't use any more. There you go, can you see there's marks up here as well by the number 10. Right, I'm not happy with that. It's actually, I don't know, it feels kind of tacky. Well, I am going to get some Brasso, and I'm just going to clean up this metal a little bit. I've got to be careful because this is just I think chrome plated, so I don't want to wear through it. And I think I might try a little bit of Brasso on that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Normally the Polywatch works really nice on plastics, but maybe this is some sort of softer plastic. I don't know, I'm not overly happy with how that's come out. I'm just going to use a little bit of this Brasso wad in here. I'm only going to be very gentle with it, only use a tiny bit. And now it's starting to clean up better. So I'm just going to keep on at it for a bit. That is it done, and you know what? It looks better. The screen, it looks more, I don't know if it's coming across in the camera, it looks more reflective. It makes it look brighter. It's still yellow, but it looks more white because it's just brighter. Because I suppose the light is, your eyes aren't focused as much to the staining on the glass as it was previously. I think that looks pretty good. Real shame, you know what? Me being silly, but my eye keeps being drawn to that 14. I wonder, will that eventually evaporate off, or is that it now? I suppose it's stained for good, hasn't it? So I know IPA does evaporate off, but I don't think it would from paper. I suppose the paper's soaked it up now, and it's stained it maybe. Maybe the ink's leaked a little bit there. That's a real shame. I hope it doesn't keep on spreading now. I hope that blotch doesn't get any bigger, because I can just about get away with that now. But if it gets much bigger, that's going to annoy me. So there we have it. So in this instance, the Brasso seemed to do a better job on the lens than Polywatch. So we've still got staining down here. That's quite deep there. So we're going to have to live with that. But look, I think the one from up here is gone. Was it 10 or 11? There was some marking around there that seems to have gone now. I'm happy with that. So now let's pace out 10 metres. Well, do you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to be able to pace out 10 steps in my garden. I might have to just do 5 and then double it. And or whatever, just do 5 and divide it by 5. And then I'll measure that in inches. And then I'll see what to put this one on at the back. So let's do that now. And then let's take it out for a walk. And let's see what it actually works like. Right, I'm yet to count my steps in the garden. But I've just noticed, look, the base of it here, the back section is actually sticking out more than the gear that you turn. So that's so you can't accidentally knock it. Look, because obviously if that was just out, it's going to rub against something. Your arm or hand could rub against it, and then you're accidentally going to advance it like that. So that stops it from happening like that, you see. It's good, isn't it? Right, let's measure our steps. I'm in my garden now. Unfortunately, it's not big enough to get 10 steps in, but I'll comfortably get 8 in, so I'll just divide the inches by 8. So you can see the inches are up top there. So let's start with the right foot and end on the right foot. Yeah, from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So that's going to be 246. So I have to divide 246 by 8, and then I can, that will tell me how many inches each step is. 246 divided by 8 equals 30.75. So I've got to go to 30 and just past it, yeah? So you can see 1824. So if I was to go, obviously it's not going to be exact, 30.75. So I need to be looking. So these are going up in 6s. So I'm looking at about 31. I think that's probably it. I would say that that is about 30.31 maybe, 32. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but look, I'm past 30. I would say that that is about right. So now let's take it for a walk. We're going to reset it properly, so let's get it all the way to 0. Just doing this one-handed. Right, let's take it for a walk and see if it advances or not. Right, I'm about to head off now. I've just checked on my phone and I've put my Fitbit up to date, and it's showing that so far today I've done 2.36 miles. So I've scribbled that down. So I'm going to go for a walk now for about, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. And then let's see what this is, and then we can compare it to this here and see how we're getting on. Well, I started going out for a walk. I've ended up doing 1 mile. You can see I started at 2.36. 3.46 I had to turn back because look, it's not doing it at all. So basically, when I'm walking, I can't feel it vibrating. Yet when I run, I can. The problem is I don't want it to count when I'm running. I want it to count when it's walking. So I think I might need to loosen up the inside. Or do you know what I'm thinking? Maybe I need to remove the oil, because the oil might be actually adding a bit of friction. You know, for example, on a fidget spinner, if you add oil to a fidget spinner, it's rubbish. It will only spin for about 30 seconds or so. Those bearings have no oil in them because there's no, I think you only need oil in bearings, like on a skateboard, when there's weight. When there's not much weight, I don't think you need oil. I think it can actually cause more. It can slow it up more. So I understand with a skateboard and cars and stuff, they're going to need oil because of the weight of them. But on a fidget spinner, 100%, it doesn't need any oil in the bearings. It might last longer, but it doesn't spin as well. I'm wondering if that's what's happening here, because 100% it's working when you do that. But when you're walking, think about it, you're just doing that. And you're not even doing that really, you're just doing that. And obviously when you're running, you're pounding more downwards, so it works then. But yeah, it didn't register hardly anything at all. So what was that, about 30 meters? So I'm going to take it apart and see if I can free it up a bit. So I'm wondering now, could it be the spring at the bottom that's a bit weak? Because, mind you, if it's too strong, it's never going to go down, is it? So basically what's happening is, it's like this, and look, when I'm doing this, it's not recognising it. If that spring was stronger, maybe then it would work better. Because it's definitely turning around when it moves up. The problem is it's not moving up. Or have I just got these ever so slightly tight, or is it the oil that I've put on them? Let's loosen this up a bit, let's see if it makes it looser. See, really it needs to be going all the way up. I mean, that's a lot of force there when you're walking. Is that even turning it round? Right, let's take it apart and try to clean off the oil. Right, so it's this thing which is not moving up and down smoothly, so maybe it's as simple as the oil on here not allowing it to do that. Also, I wonder now, actually, hold on, if I was to loosen this up and put this right, do you know what, that's going to be it, isn't it? Let's try it all the way up here. And now let's tighten that up. I bet it's to do with this spring here. I'm going to clean up the oil as well at the same time. Oh, in case you're wondering, I had it vertical as well. I didn't have it, initially I had it in my pocket, but then what I did, well, clipped onto my pocket, but then what I did is, because I thought it might be a vertical thing, I actually put it onto my, you know, where the top of the trousers, where the belt is. Right, so let's put the spring down this way. Yeah, look, it certainly wants to go back up a lot quicker now. Oh, that's it, look. Oh, yes. Oh, brilliant. That's it, look. Tiny movements. Right, so let's make it, let's get the scratch up here. Right, scratch is here, yeah? Just here. So now let's see. And now it's over here. Brilliant, that's it. So what it wasn't that the spring was bent, it's just that I'd already fitted this, and no I hadn't, but I just had the spring down loose down here. The spring had to be right up here. So I tightened it up when it was pointing here, and this bit was coming out here, so it wasn't really pushing this up much. So all I did was undo that and push it up to here. So now the spring naturally wants to be up here. So look, every time it goes down, can you see the force that it springs back up with? So now when you're walking, look, tiny movements. Remember before I had to do that, but now look. See? Tiny movements. I think now that is going to work, and I felt hopeful before. I thought I had it before, but I haven't. But I've got it. I feel confident that I've fully got it now. Now this time I'm more confident. So 3.5 miles, I've written that down. This is reset to 0. Let's go walking again. Okay, so I've gone out for my walk, and the good news is I can feel it bouncing around the place, and it's like it's alive. It's nice. It's just kind of like, look at that. Do you know what? That could be my thumbnail. Hold on. There you go. That's going to be my thumbnail. Look at that. Yeah, so it's nice. It's bouncing around the place. But look, check this out. According to this, I have done 3 and well, nearly 3.5 miles, 3 1/3 miles, yeah. But now, remember, I started at 3.5. Watch this on my watch here. Hold on, 1 second, just tapping through it. Look, where am I here? 5.1. So I've only actually done 1.6 miles. So unfortunately, what's happening is
this thing here, look at that view. How nice is that? Unfortunately, this thing here is way too sensitive now. So I think that spring is of utmost importance. If it's too far down the bottom, it doesn't register at all. If it's too high up, it registers too much. So I think now that's about twice what it should be. So let's put it back on the blue mat again. I think this is going to take ages. And this time I'm going to look to see if there's any markings on the actual, on the actual case somewhere to say where that spring should go, because in Germany, where this was made, how are they supposed to know unless they just do it by eye? But I think it needs to be done more. I think it needs to be done more precisely than that. So maybe they had a little gadget, a little machine or something, a little block of something that went over it and that put the spring in the exact place, and then they did up the screw. So I don't think I'm ever going to get this perfect, but at least I'm understanding it more now. So let's take it apart again, move that spring down a little bit to make it weaker, and then it's not going to be as sensitive, because I think what's happening is every single step is kind of registering as 2, while I just need it to register as 1.
So I've just put the video footage onto my TV so I can actually see it. And this was when I was just taking it apart. And look, this is the spring here that I need to adjust. So look what's happening. It looks like it's just resting on that bit there. So not on the silver spindle, but like the brass bit there, it looks like it's just resting there. And then as I press play, when I go to unscrew it, it doesn't look like there's a huge amount of sort of tension on it. So I reckon it's just resting on there, because look at this bit here. Can you see there? It didn't look like it went back particularly strong. And when I loosen it there, it comes away really easily. So that's what I'm going to do. I am just going to rest it right on that bit there. And then I think that's going to be it, because I would say that this, apart from this top bit being turned round, I don't think this has ever been taken apart. So yeah, that must be right. Hopefully this time I will have more success. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do it there, but I don't want it under tension, I want it just to, I'm going to actually put my finger there so it's just resting on it. There, like that. So now if I was to take this off, can you see it hasn't moved up? So maybe that will be it. Now the thing is, apart from watching back the video, there was no real indication of where that spring went to, but I suppose it was pointing towards the middle of this thing here, wasn't it? This one that hits in between these two. So maybe that's it. Thing is though, it doesn't really seem that accurate, does it? I mean, surely if that was just a millimetre up or a millimetre down, it's going to make a massive difference over 12 miles. Well, I mean, I don't know. It feels nice and loose. I know it's definitely going to work, but again, will that be too sensitive? I'm not too sure. So, yeah, I'll put it back together again. I think there's no real point in filming anymore, because the only thing I'm going to be doing is, if it's out again, I'm going to be moving the spring ever so slightly down, and then down a bit more, or up a little bit. So I'm just going to be tweaking it up and down. I can't really see what else I can do on it. So hopefully next time you see this, I will either have good news, or, well, it's good news, because I mean it's going to be working to some degree, isn't it? But it's not really doing what it's supposed to be, what it was designed for. If it's counting twice, if it's going twice the distance. I mean, don't get me wrong, it feels good, but it's not accurate, is it? If it says you've done 5 miles when you've only done 2.5, I mean, that's fantastic. But unfortunately, it's not real, is it? I asked my kids the other day, what's heavier, a big bag of feathers that weighs a ton, or a ton of metal? And embarrassingly, they both said a ton of metal. which is bad. Thought they would have known that. Okay. Right, well, let's see now if that's gonna behave itself better. Time to go walking again. Right, check this out. 7.44 miles. Started at 6.35. So we've done over a mile according to this. But according to this now, we're under a mile. So now I need to move the spring up a little bit to make it more bouncy. This isn't quite bouncy enough. I think we might get there this time, you know. Slowly starting to get there now, and it's getting more accurate. So my Fitbit is at 4.12 miles. So I'm just going to go for a little walk around the place, go for a mile or two, and then see where this ends up here. And basically what I've been doing is just making minor little adjustments on this back one here, because remember, this will affect the stride length, so this affects the mileage. So although the strange thing is, you know, I measured it at like 30 point something, whatever it was, inches. When I went onto my Fitbit, it's done automatically on the app, and they have me down as 28 inches. So I'm thinking, like most people, when you're told to stride something, you probably use bigger strides than what you're really using in real life when you go out for a walk. So I'm just tweaking this a little bit here to try to get it as accurate as possible. I am done. Whew, I am worn out. I've been walking and walking and walking. Look at the steps that I've done today alone. 17,000. Oh, no more. I'm done. Right. How have I done with the old fine tuning of it? Not too bad. It still needs more work, but I'm giving up. I'm worn out between yesterday and today. So I have basically been tuning it up and tuning it up by just doing the back bit here. So I can't do the spring anymore. There doesn't seem to be enough, like tiny millimeters make huge differences. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of like, oh, all the way down here or all the way up here and then you can do in between. It's literally, if the spring is here, it will be not working at all. And if the spring is here, it will be far too much. So it's very hard to get it right. So I have been adjusting it from here. Now I know my step is definitely more than 25 inches, but yet this seems to be, I need to adjust this to get it right, because it's easier to adjust this than the spring. So basically, if you have a look here, the last one I did was 5.65 miles according to this. Now, again, I don't know how accurate this is, but I've got a feeling that this is going to be a lot more accurate than this. So if you have a look here, I am at 7.66. So that's 2 miles. It's 2 miles, isn't it? 565 to 766. So just a tiny bit over 2 miles. Yeah? And if you have a look here, that's what the last reading is now. Can you see? 2 miles and 1 increment. So that's 2 miles and roughly about 200 meters, isn't it? So you can see that it's running a little bit too much. So what I have to now do is move this down ever so slightly. Yeah. And now if I move it to maybe, I don't know, like about 23-inch step, then that might end up being perfect, or maybe not. Maybe I might need to go down. Maybe even I go to 18, it's not gonna do it. Now remember how it works. When you move this thing here, it's like a V. So all this is doing is moving up and down every time you move. And pretend if you took this V out of it, the metal V, this would move up and down like this. And every time it moves up, it's moving this around, isn't it? So it's moving this around a tiny bit. So the more it moves up, the more it advances this hand around. So by moving this along here, what we're doing is, because the metal V is like this, it's allowing the thing to not move up as much. So basically the smaller step you have, it's only advancing it a tiny bit. Because if you had a tiny step, you might need to do 2 steps to get a meter. Well, if you had a very large step, 1 step would do a meter. Now remember, every time a person steps, this is moving up and down. So basically every time I move this along this way, it's shortening the steps, so it's not moving it around as much. So you can see now, because this has gone too much beyond 2 miles, it should be exactly on 2 miles, I'm moving it more this way. So I reckon I will get it. I reckon I will get it eventually, but I'm not doing any more walking today, and I'm not doing any more filming off it. Now I'm just wondering in the factory how they calibrated this. To begin with, I thought they might have had something to put over the spring to align it perfectly. I'm now wondering, and I don't know if this is silly or not, I'm wondering whether it was put on some sort of machine to see how much it moves in maybe 5 minutes or something like that. And then I'm wondering if different metal things were put in, because if the V was wider, it's going to allow it to move around faster. If the V was smaller, it's going to allow it to move round slower. So I'm wondering whether this is the thing that does the calibration. I wonder whether they put different inserts in to do the calibration, or am I just thinking that this is much better than it ever was? Maybe this was never that accurate. I don't know, I just sort of think things from years ago were made really well and very accurate, but in this there's quite a lot of play and stuff. Even this top bit here, there's a lot of play. So I see made in West Germany, that's quite interesting, so before the Berlin Wall came down. But I'm thinking that maybe it wasn't a quality product in the first place. Every time I see Germany, I automatically assume that things are going to be good. But I don't know about this. The jury's out. I can't work out whether this is a good product or not a good product. The very fact it's got a paper dial or a cardboard dial makes me slightly wary that it might be a cheap product. So let me know what you think of it. Do you think the calibration was done with the spring, or do you think the calibration was done with this, or do you think it was somehow done in some other way? But overall, I enjoyed this video because I feel that I fully understand the inside of it now, and also you've got to admit it's an unusual item. I've never seen one of these before. Would I use it in real life? There's something I like about it. I think I possibly would. I mean, not if you want it to be accurate, you might as well get a modern day device. But you've got to admit, if you were, for example, going on a bit of a hike with your friends or something like that, or if you were, I don't know, climbing up Ben Nevis or something like that with your mates, this would be more of a talking point than using something like this. Do you know what I mean? It's different, isn't it? It definitely is different. So yes, I've enjoyed this video, very much so, and it was quite nice to do a little bit of work on something kind of watch related. Now this is much easier than working on a watch because the inside is much simpler and everything's much bigger. I didn't even need any special small screwdrivers, I just used my normal set. But yeah, it was nice. Now if you do like watch related stuff, you know that I've tried a few things on my channel before, haven't really ever been that successful. But check out Mike from My Retro Watches. He actually was the one that fixed up the My Mate Vince watch on the repair competition that I did where I couldn't get it working. So maybe some of the newer subscribers to my channel might not have seen him before. But if you like mechanical automatic watches, especially Seikos and stuff like that, check out his channel because I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. So that is it. I am done for this video. I'm going to kick back now and I'm going to have a nice double decker and I'm going to watch bit of YouTube or a bit of Netflix or something. I might even see what's on Disney Plus, see if there's anything on there, some old Herbie film or something like that. So yeah, that is it. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye now.